If you have student loans, they may get canceled.
How am I ever going to pay this back?
President Joe Biden announced that student loan debt will be wiped out for certain borrowers earlier than expected.
How much do you owe?
$307,000.
Beginning this month, the Department of Education is sending more letters and emails to qualified borrowers. To qualify, you must...
As you can see, President Biden is starting another wave of student loan forgiveness. The question is, do you qualify? In this video, I'm going to show you everything you need to have in place to see if you meet the qualifications for student loan forgiveness. Let's get right into it. All right, guys, so we know it's election season, and this is usually when all the presidential candidates start, bringing up old promises or making new promises. Check this out.
Now turning to student debt relief.
President Joe Biden announced that student loan debt will be wiped out for certain borrowers earlier than expected. The administration says it will start canceling loans under the Save Repayment Plan starting next month.
Now, there has already been thousands of people who met the qualifications of the student loan forgiveness when Biden first talked about it, okay? And now with this new wave that's coming out, you most definitely want to see if you meet the qualifications, and if so, you most definitely want to take advantage of it right away.
The Biden administration has announced an acceleration for its latest debt relief plan. ABC's Alexis Christophorus is here with the details. Hi, Alexis.
Good news for thousands of people, Diane. So beginning this month, the Department of Education is sending more letters and emails to qualified borrowers, letting them know their loans have been forgiven. Now, to qualify, you must first be enrolled in the Education Department's income-driven repayment plan called SAVE. You can sign up at studentaid.gov. If you initially took out $12,000 or less in federal student loans and have made at least 10 years of payments, your remaining debts will be canceled. And for every $1,000 borrowed above $12,000, loans are forgiven after each additional year of payments. So, for example, if you borrowed $13,000, your loan would be forgiven after 11 years of payments. And more debt relief could be on the way. Later this month, the Biden administration will meet with education experts to figure out how to extend loan forgiveness to borrowers experiencing financial hardship. But any relief there is still not expected for at least a year. Meantime, millions of students may have just days to compare their financial aid packages before committing to a college this spring. And that's because the government, once again, has delayed the rollout of its updated financial aid form known as FAFSA. And some schools now even considering extending their enrollment deadline beyond May 1st to give students and their families more time to decide where they can afford to go to college.
So the thing about student loans is one of those things that's been really on our backs for years, okay? We're not even going to talk about how student loans even got out of hand in the first place. If you guys remember when you went to school, for many of us, when you went to school and you got approved for a student loan, not only did you get approved for the student loan, but you all of a sudden got this thing called a refund check. Now, how many of you guys remember the refund checks? Some people paid their rent up with the refund check. Some people bought laptops with their refund check. Some people bought Jordans with their refund check. I saw all type of craziness that people were doing with their refund checks. The reason why I'm bringing this up is because student loans just so happens to be the only loan in which you actually get some type of refund. I mean, think about it. When you actually buy a home, there's no money left over. If it is money left over, it's not necessarily a refund. You just had to bring a certain amount of money to closing, and then it ended up being the remaining balance that was left over. But it wasn't necessarily a set amount, like they gave you more than enough of a refund. The same is true when you get an auto loan or an auto lease. When you're done with the loan or when you start with the loan, they don't say, hey, here's $20,000 for the car and here's $3,000 as a refund check, right? Now, many of you all probably didn't get refund checks, but I know thousands of people who did. And on average, the refund check was $3,000 per refund. So if you went to school and graduated on time, and which means that you probably stayed there 8 semesters or more, at minimum, you got $3,000. Again, just saying that's the average times 8 semesters. Guys, that's $24,000 in money that you didn't have to have. That's in refund checks, okay? Now, some people were saying to themselves, oh, well, this is my money. It's not your money. It was borrowed money. So think about that. Now you're in a position where you're now having to challenge your monthly bills just simply because you want to pay your student loans. Now, for those who don't remember, most of the student loans have been in deferment since the pandemic, okay? Which means that a lot of people have not been paying their student loans because they didn't have to.
Many families already dealing with tight budgets asked and are still asking, how to afford it all.
With 2 master's degrees, high school teacher Raquel Perry has always prioritized education, and she has the bills to prove it.
How much do you owe?
$307,000.
When you see that amount written out, what do you think?
How am I ever going to pay this back?
The 30-year-old mother pivoted careers after getting laid off during the pandemic, but says her teacher's salary in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania can't cover all the costs.
It's hard to think about student loan payments, foods, electricity, water. If I pay this $500, $600, $700 this month, how am I going to afford to buy food for the family for the month, for the week? Like, how is that going to work?
And they actually extended that into the final quarter of this year. The problem is that people couldn't afford it before 2020, before the inflation, before the price hikes and all this craziness that's going on, because it was already the cost or half the cost of what they were paying per month. A lot of people, even if you had, let's say, for example, you have $50,000 worth of student loan debt, which a lot of people are very close to 50,000 or more. Let's just break that down. Let's just say you were at 0% interest and you wanted to pay back $50,000. So if you borrow $50,000 and let's say you could only afford $500 a month, it would take you a little over 8 years to pay that off. And again, that's with 0% interest. But the question is, even if you were able to pay the $500 a month, what does that tap into? Does that tap into your lifestyle? Does that tap into your car note money? Does that tap into your savings, your investings? You may be trying to save for a house. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't have to pay your student loans. What I'm saying is a lot of people are already in the position already. I mean, let's look at the economy. And not to mention credit card debt is crazy as well. Listen, student loans have simply gotten out of hand. I'm not saying that people should not have to pay their student loans. What I am saying is that these institutions, well, really at the end of the day, institutions can charge anything that they want to. But at the end of the day, you most definitely want to make sure that you're choosing a school that you can afford, not just because they say, hey, you want some money? Yeah, I want some money. And they just give it to you and you say, this is the school I'm going to. Some of you all need to be at community colleges. Some of you all need to be at online colleges. A degree is a degree, whether you walk across the stage virtually or walk across the stage in real life. Either way, you're going to put it up on your wall. I'm not knocking people, even though, of course, graduating college. We need some people to graduate college because they actually need that for the type of work that they're trying to go into. But again, if your major or your minor is not in something in which you can just really go to any type of school, then I say take advantage of that, because again, you're going to have to pay for this. So until these institutions start giving out more free rides or reducing their costs, which I don't see them doing that anytime soon, you really have to make a strategic move and say, okay, if I'm going to go to college, what can I afford? If all of this is on me and I have to pay it back, does it make sense to do so? Which brings me to my next point. If for whatever reason, Biden does not win this presidential election, I'm not telling you who to vote for. I'm just saying he's the only president that's talking about student loans. So if there's any type of student loan forgiveness, if he let's say he wins, this upcoming presidential election, if he does win this, then who knows what's going to happen to student loans again. We saw what happened when he got into presidency. All that time has gone by. I'm not saying that crazy important issues have come up. I'm just saying that what was promised was not delivered, okay? I'm not saying that he can't deliver on it either. What I am saying is temper your expectations, expect to pay your student loans, guys. And if you can't afford to pay your student loans, you need to strongly consider sending your kids to college, because if you can't afford it, they won't be able to afford it. Either way, I hope many of you meet the qualifications of the new student loan forgiveness. Let me know your thoughts about it inside the comments below. If you are close to meeting the qualifications, if you got the good news and you found out that your student loans have been forgiven, congratulations to you. Or just let me know your thoughts in the comments in general, guys. But I'll most definitely see you at the next video.